Okay, in this video I'm going to walk through making this cool sheath. And this tool that I have in my hand is my flesher, alright, or my scraper for when I'm tanning hides, doing the dry scrape method. And this has a very sharp edge they come with. I bought this off, I believe, braintan.com many years ago for like 75 bucks. It didn't come with a sheath. I've been very careful with this, but sometimes you have to set it down, and then this edge here, these edges here, man, you stepping on one of these, especially if you're doing something barefoot or whatever. I can just see it. I have that kind of intuition where it's just going to go right through your foot or even your fingers. So when it's not in use, obviously you don't want to chip it, because this is an expensive piece of metal. And if you set it down, you want to be able to protect it. So it didn't come with a sheath, so in this video I'm just walking through how I kind of developed this style of sheath. Many different ways this could have been done. From a design standpoint, this will swivel to the right, this will swivel to the left if you're left or right handed when you pick it up. And it snaps right on. It's very secure on here, and it protects the blade and protects you. So let's begin. This is a scraper for scraping hides, for tanning hides, dry scrape method specifically. That's where you put the hide in the frame and you scrape the flesh side to get the membrane off, and you scrape the hair side to get the hair off. I have a DVD on how to do that process. It's a process you can even do indoors if it's a fresh kill, a fresh harvest. I would definitely recommend doing it outside. Make sure you have a water hose, and it's the less ick factor, but you don't get as much as the hide. I go in more detail in my DVD, the link below. Anyhow, I bought this flesher, which I'm actually using in the DVD. It's actually a pretty hefty piece of metal. But it's got a very sharp edge. Alright, so you got to be careful with that. Now, in my DVD, I also have made and used, this is a napped piece of Keokuk, which is white stone, and then I found, this is a part of a branch, right, on a tree, and this is the handle, and then I've lashed the stone on a terraced ridges here, so I can have longer stone, or I can shorten the edge however I need to. And I just took and split this from the log, right, so that's the thing. And then there's a lanyard here that I can hang it up by, and I can put it around my wrist. This is the buckskin. It's actually buckskin that I can tie and untie and adjust and readjust as needed. Okay, so it's not fastened on here with sinew or permanently, right? More about this later. Maybe I'll make another video if I come across some resources on making an actual one from start to finish. And it actually works. It's not as efficient as this one, but again, this is about speed. And anything in primitive technology, as long as it works, if the aesthetics go out the window. I'm mumbling. All right, so in the graphic design world, there's a Venn diagram, and it's 3 bubbles that interlap, and it's called good, fast, cheap. You get to pick 2. Okay, so right now we got cheap and good. Right, it actually works, and it's cheap because you went out and you didn't pay anything to harvest these materials. It just doesn't mean it's going to be fast. Okay, so anyways, that's one thing about primitive tools. Now, this is very sharp on the modern one, the steel one, and on the stone one, this can be sharp as well. This is pretty sharp as well. And so over the years, I've been contemplating, I'm like, okay, how can I protect myself? Because sometimes I have to set it down, and I don't want to step on this thing. Trust me, it is razor sharp. So I'm going to make a sheath. And I started off already, and anything when I'm just reverse engineering something or creating something, especially using leather out of scratch, I tend to make a prototype first. And I've just taken some blue masking tape, laid out some strips, put them together so it's actually tough and malleable. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to develop a shape like this. So it slides in like this, and it's going to slide in forward. I've got the materials, the tools and the materials to I could sew or stitch these on the side here, right? But I got rivets. I'm gonna rivet these in because it's metal, and sewing would take too long. And then to make sure it doesn't like slide out, I'm going to rivet in a strap that's gonna go around the top. So now once it's riveted in and everything, it's not coming out. All right, it's not gonna go anywhere. And so I'm just making a prototype, and I know this works. And it'll be a snap on top. I could put a button, you know, any sort of thing. But again, I want to protect the blade, but I also want to protect myself, right? And put this in a nice sheath. So I'm still going to have to manufacture the pattern, and this is just a rough. I could do it out of this rough, but I'm going to actually, because I may use it again, right? So I'm using my normal medium for pattern making, which is a brown paper bag. And I can just roughly shape this out, make the edges straight, you know, put in the dimensions that I need, and then lay it out on my piece of leather and cut it out. So it's really that easy. It's not, you know, it's just you use your imagination. As many ways that this could be done, you know. This could lay the opposite way and just kind of be dangling there, maybe even catching some of the shavings, and then clean it off and then slide it, and then you snap it at the end, you know, so it's protected. I mean, there's many different ways this could be done. This is a kind of a quicker idea that I tried to come up with. And then it's got to be fastened, right? And that's going to be with this, because there's a heel on this blade, and it's going to snap on the top, and that'll keep it nice and secure, and it won't come off. Alright, so here is the pattern traced out on our leather. I've chosen a different piece, and then here's the strap kind of outlined on a different piece of leather with some straight edges. Take advantage of your straight edges when you can, because this type of leather you got to definitely use, you know, your utility blades. And so anyways, I'm going to take a nice metal straight edge and cut this out. I have some leather shears that I can round the corners out when I get to that point. And then I got the X's are where the hole punches will be. So here are the pieces to our sheath here. Got holes in for rivets that we're going to be hammering in. One piece is darker than the other. I didn't stain it. It's wet. Actually, I let it soak for a while, so I can ply it around the head of the flesher, the scraper. And this one is dry, which is the strap. So there's a hole here that I had to punch through. I'm going to put it slightly at an angle. Although I'm putting one hole in, it would eventually swivel, but the way that these rivets work for leather working, they can become quite tight. So I'm already kind of put that at a cant, like that, a little bit like that. And then for these type of rivets, there's an end cap, and I'm already on my marble slab. Here is my stamp and my hammer, and usually just takes a good whack, and so now it's on there. It's not coming off, and of course I can pivot it, but I can make it stronger if I wanted to, a little tighter. Oops. There we go. Alright, so next I can find out, I'm gonna put a snap in there. So all I got to do is punch a hole with the top snap and the bottom snaps, which will be the next step. And then I think the way it's going to work out is a rivet here and a rivet there. Alright, so we've got this more or less put together. Got my strap here with the snap that goes on top like so. And then I've got the rivets in like so here, and this should protect the edge, the razor edge of the flesher. and while it's still wet and flexible, I should be able to squeeze this in and have it mold to the shape and everything. So here is the finished piece. Here's what we came up with. Basically a little pocket, just something to kind of hide the sharp edge which is the whole purpose of this little project here. Now, what I did do is I ended up having to make another one, because the original one that we started on, and I don't mind showing my mistakes obviously, is it was too narrow. There wasn't enough space for the blade, because the blade, there's some girth here. There's some girth here. There wasn't enough allowance, right? Now, if I was to stitch this or do a loop around here, you know, some loop lacing, that might have fixed the problem, but still the whole point of the issue is not to have it so that when I'm inserting this inside of the pocket here, the blades are not touching any side here, right? And then it would go in and cut. It would defeat the purpose. Now, and then also just to make it something real quick and simple to make, since I had the tools. Alright, so we have this primitive one here. I think what I'm inspired to do is, I think I might have some buckskin left over. So it's real primitive, that I may do a buckskin version of this. And I may lace it this time around. As opposed to snapping, all right? You could do the same thing with some bones or buttons. It wouldn't be too hard to do that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll do some problem solving. In the meantime, I'll just save this. You know, I can always take some, what do they call? There's wire snips, the wedge snips that you can get, and you can get in between the leather and actually break these, snap these in half, snap the accoutrements off. And then I could reuse this leather, but you know, this may come in handy for something else, so I'll just set this aside. In the meantime, we have a piece that fits, and again, the whole purpose is to protect the tip of the blade here from chipping or hitting yourself or stepping on it or something like that. And then I want it so that it would slide on, and then it's not going to come off. Now there's some sliding here, and too much of that will cause this to eventually cut through the other side. I ended up only having some scrap leather, so this is actually probably about 2 to 3 ounces of leather. It's not the nice thick piece that we were using before. So the rubbing or the abrasion and the cutting through eventually would be a thing, right? I know I could put a welt in here. I just wanted this to be a quick project and enough to serve the purpose. And we got the snap that goes on either side. So what I'm liable to do is I'm liable to get this wet, have it mold onto our blade. Again, once I get this leather wet and I mold it onto the blade, I'm going to have to oil my plate again, just to make sure it doesn't rust. But I want to put a couple of more snaps here and there just to make sure it gets rid of the wiggle room. But in the meantime, if I didn't have enough rivets or snaps, I think this works just as it is, you know, as long as I'm not moving this around too much. So we're going to put some finishing touches on it, but in the meantime, here we go. This is just a little sheath that I came up with for a fleshing tool or scraping tool. That I got off, I think it was braintan.com. I'll put the link below. So okay, here is the actual finished product. I may put some, I'm not going to stain this. I could make it black, but this is already black. And again, the motif of this is like light, I think it's probably oak, most likely, against the black bar here. And what I will do is just shine it up with some atomized wax, so it's got some sheen to it and protection. But I like it as it is. I just wish I had made a more accurate prototype that I knew I wasn't going to be wasting leather, that I don't have a whole lot of at the moment. So it would have been thicker, more heavy duty. But you know what? I'm happy with this. This turned out. I think it works. It'll work out. I put 2 rivets in here, so there's no give, there's no moving. It doesn't come off backwards and it come off forward. It's very difficult to loop this around so it can slip off. So it's turned out okay. If you liked this video, or got something out of it, please, like, share, subscribe, put a little something in the tip jar via Cash App or PayPal, and the links are below. Just $1 is just fine. I'd appreciate it. And there you have it. Hopefully this was inspiring. And there's many different ways this could have been done. And actually, you could probably, those people that you can go to tandyleather.com and get sheets of Kydex, right? So you have the actual Kydex sheaths, and it's, I've never really worked with it. I do have sheets of it, but I've never worked with it. But, for holsters and different things like that, that would work well if you're not trying to do leather or rustic or primitive type stuff.